Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the weekly Fuel Arts online art and tech webinar series. We hope you had a great start of 2023 and spent fantastic New Year holidays. So our Fuel Arts team is already back to work, and we are currently preparing for the upcoming Fuel Arts and Tech Accelerator program that we start this February. Along with that, we've started working on the 2023 edition of our Fuel Arts Startups report, which will contain unexpected and beautiful numbers and analytics. So, as I said, on December 30th, we finished accepting applications for Fuel Arts and Tech Accelerator. So we have received over 100 applications from all over the globe, and now we have a tough task. We need to choose only 10 startups that will participate in the program. But speaking of other accelerators, we always want to know more about them and hear all success stories of their startups. So we do not consider them competitors. They are all our market colleagues. So we're always happy when we see the newborn initiative that aims to uncover the future unicorns for the art tech industry. And today we would like to introduce you to the Cointelegraph Accelerator, the initiative created by one of the leaders of the crypto mass media industry. So today with me, our co-host Sonia Stubblebine, project manager of Fuel Arts, and we are happy to introduce you to our guest, the Chief Business Development Officer of Cointelegraph Accelerator, Anna.
Hi, everyone. Hi.
So, hi, Anna. We know that you began working in the crypto industry over a year and a half ago and devoted most of your life to fashion sphere. But now you are interviewing over 30 startups every month. So, and we also know that you've been a contributor to the Unchain Fund since February 22, helping with fundraising and public relations. So, and since that,
Yeah, thank you, Dennis, for a brief introduction. Let me fulfill a little bit with more details that might be interesting for our audience and give reasons to listen to this lady, like what I can tell interesting to them. Yeah, I do have 15 years experience from fashion. I've been in model for 5 years, and I've been a fashion producer for 10 years. I worked with the big brands like Elisa, Zohar Murad, John Galliano. And I've been always interested in intellectual property and in monetizing their rights, because I helped to create thousands of images and videos, and people get their salaries and never get been paid back from multiple using of their images and videos. That's how I started to be interested in NFT during this NFT boom in 2021, and I got familiar with Cointelegraph workers. I passed through the hell of HR, and I became a part of Cointelegraph. I have two heads apart from Chief Business Developer at Accelerator that I will tell you more further. I have another head, a startup head. I am a co-founder at tokenization platform MintMate. You can easily check any article at Cointelegraph already, and you can easily mint it into NFT. It's a huge backlog behind this simple user journey, and I'm part of this tokenization platform. So it gives me both sides while I'm interview those startups monthly, because I passed through fundraising hell. I'm still in progress of pivoting. We have one project that failed together with my team, and once I'm sitting in front of startup and listen to their story, I can understand both sides, not only investments needs. That's
Absolutely.
basically who I am.
yeah, sorry, let me comment. Yeah, we jumped quickly into the conversation, which is good, but I'd like to comment on some of the wordings you used. You said fundraising hell. For instance, our investment relation manager Jeff Ashelman says fundraising paradise instead of fundraising hell. So
Okay, let's switch the phrases. I think paradise.
no,
It's
that's okay. That's okay. I mean, you should pass through hell to achieve paradise, as one would say.
absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
So and yeah, Sonia.
I
And
just wanted to comment that it's like a very special position that you're in, that you have this experience from both sides, so you know what startups are going through. And now, as like being ahead of like business development in this accelerator, you do know all the complications and all the challenges that they're going through. So, talking about accelerator itself, could you tell us more about it? What's the story behind how and why it was launched?
with pleasure. Thank you for sharing the slides. Let's proceed with the next one immediately. So before I will explain you more about acceleration program, let's start with a brief overview about Cointelegraph. I don't know how much our audience familiar with Cointelegraph, but briefly, it's one of the biggest media in the space, the oldest one in crypto. We have 10 years anniversary this February. It's almost a century in the crypto world. And can we proceed with the next slide, please? Yep. Thank you. We have 11 franchisees with local versions and local editors. So once you interact with Cointelegraph, you have access to the worldwide geography. Next slide, please. Yeah, we have more than 10 million visitors at Cointelegraph US. You can check other franchisee. Of course, we have males mostly among visitors, but still the woman power increasing in the space. And we have 10 years expertise, media expertise that brought us to acceleration program. Next slide, please. These are our partners. Of course, we work with the biggest key players on the market. And I think, yeah, so just a few more things. Cointelegraph consists of a bunch of products. It's not the only media itself. We do cover a bunch of different topics. We have formats for beginners. We have formats for active traders, for industry veterans. And we do have our strong video channels. Next slide, please. Here we are. Last year, we've seen enormous amount of VC activities in Web3 space. So we decided, and you guys, you've seen a lot also in art and tech that you can also can share. We decided to create acceleration program that rely on our expertise. We are from media, not from VC side. That's why Cointelegraph Accelerator has business model media for tokens or equity. Depends on the project. Whom we're looking for? Participant. You can check the conditions, but basically we are looking for ready to scale projects who's ready for Cointelegraph traffic, who already has some existing MVP and people can try out their project. We are looking for sustainable projects long term because we accelerate them minimum for 9 months. Normally, we sign contracts for 1.5 years. And our product consists, our offer to the startup consists of two parts. First part is media products. These things actually you can buy at Cointelegraph as a general client, like PR, press releases, articles, AMA sessions, some social media coverage. And second part of our offer consists of things that you cannot buy, like entrance to our VC circle, presence at a conference, presence at Cointelegraph booth, and some special user acquisition partnerships branded by Cointelegraph and startup name. Next slide, please. Yeah, that's basically, I just described our key steps, our main value that we bring to the startups. And this our services. We do sign contract for the package of services. And then next slide, please. We create a primary calendar, how we can use the services according to the startup pipeline. But it's very flexible. If we are at this webinar, probably we are familiar with startup routine. So once you pivoting, you change something, we change the product according to our startup needs. I think, yes, so this is the last slide. Things that you cannot buy. Once you onboarded to Cointelegraph Accelerator, you have this special status accelerated by Cointelegraph. You have dedicated managers. Sometimes it's me. Probably you can work with me once you will be onboarded to Cointelegraph. Complete campaign flexibility, that what I just mentioned, and we'll do provide access to Cointelegraph Innovation Circle, special application where you can find C-level of different companies, key players of the market. That's basic overview. Do you have some questions at this stage?
Well, actually, yes. I mean, that was amazing, really amazing, an amazing elevator speech. So, and now we understand the startups who are enrolled into your course, into your program, are in very professional hands. Though our aim is to ask you something just to clarify what remained untouched or maybe unnoticed. So my first question regarding, I mean, talking about, let's say, the main features that makes Cointelegraph Accelerator stand out among the other accelerators. So from what I've heard now, you're aiming to work only with the startups who are, let's say, not using, not following the traditional, let's say, equity round scheme, but who are developing tokenomics. So you take only tokens. So equity-based startups can't apply to your accelerator. Am I right?
We prefer token-based startups because it's easier for us to create the financial part of interaction. But once we do really like the startup and it's equity-based, we also can have a look and work with.
Good. So my question number two, different accelerators, and we know that there are more than 3.5 thousand accelerators operating in the world, both brick and mortar and virtually, I mean, online. So they have their own peculiarities. Some of them are focused on fintech, business development. So the knowledge that you give to a startup, I mean, your value, am I right that it's mostly in, let's say, mass media relations, networking, and investment networking, and let's say marketing activity? So what you are experienced at?
Sure. Good question. Thank you. So for easy understanding, sometimes we can replace CMO. We bring marketing value. Investor circle, networking circle. This is additional things that we do bring regarding to our expertise. But the main input, the main value of Cointelegraph Accelerator is marketing value, scaling value, awareness, brand awareness value.
Good. So, and the third question is maybe an unexpected one, but let's say being a general partner of Fuel Arts and I mean responsible for our Fuel Arts business strategy, I wonder what are your plans for that tokens or for that equity that you take from startups? I mean, what's next? What Cointelegraph is doing with that? So are you planning to participate, let's say, in the next rounds of the most successful startups?
Absolutely,
Like
absolutely. As I mentioned before, first of all, most of the project, they have vesting period. So we keep this token, we keep this equity, and we enforce the project on the market. And of course, our plan to participate in the second rounds of our accelerator startups. We are not looking for easy come, easy go. I think it's the time for this startup just pass away.
I think we got a question from the audience. We got some comments. The first one from Ryan Tanaka. Morning and happy new year, listening in again. So
yeah, thank you, Ryan, so much. Thank you.
And then we got a question from Anna, I suppose.
Before Anna, I would like to yes, we have a question, because Anna's question focuses more on what we are going to ask our Anna next. So I'd like to pay attention to the question of Sydney. Yeah, a very, very cool startup.
I see a lack of diversity in the blockchain space in general, and it's becoming more apparent when it comes to Web3 specifically. Are there any diversity and inclusion initiatives being taken for the Cointelegraph Accelerator?
To answer this question, let's clarify the meaning of diversity. If we are talking about gender, I think Cointelegraph is one of a more diversified company in the space, at least. If we are talking about spheres, Cointelegraph is a media. We're covering all kind of companies and topics. If we are talking about accelerator, we're agnostic in terms of spheres. We do accept all kind of spheres. We already have some gamify. We already have some finance solutions. We looking for fashion, and here we are at art and tech. So we are more than diversified and agnostic in terms of sphere.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, coming back to Cointelegraph and what exactly is your role there, could you tell us more? What exactly do you do day per day? What is your role and what are your key responsibilities?
So for the last half year, half of my working hours have been dedicated to actually looking for startups and provide this primary due diligence, primary interview for them. Thanks God, we will launch our landing page next week, and any startup who feels relevant to our program can fill up standard form and get into my mailbox, and I will read first. And 50% of my time, other 50% been dedicated, and I hope I will devote more time to this, is investors track. So I'm responsible for partnership with the different investors like Angel One, also infrastructural, in terms of deal flow and some interesting demo days, partnerships, participation in some conference, etc. Third track, partnership with the infrastructural key players. So currently we're in progress with Filecoin. I think we can announce this, and we're in progress with Animoca brands, Techstars, and many other big names. Because it's easier to move forward together with strong players on the market and support and merge forces to support really strong projects. Sometimes you just don't have capability to look and interview all kind of startups separately.
Thank you.
That's basically my two main streams. And once the startup is onboarded to Cointelegraph Acceleration Program, I'm that person who provides intro to VC, infrastructural interest. So you can see the space who will do this.
I can imagine a lot of communication work with all this.
Anna, your replies, your quick reaction, and professional understanding of what's needed to be replied to the exact questions, should receive a lot of compliments, and thank you for that. I mean, again, Cointelegraph Accelerator is in nice hands. If we speak about business development in particular. So I wonder what prior experiences have helped you to lead, to take this position and to lead business development at Cointelegraph Accelerator, because all the replies on all the answers we should find from the past. I mean, that was our prior experience, past experiences, which made us professional. So what are your prior experience you are proud of, except being a proud Ukrainian?
Well, Ukraine is already a skill I think we can mention in LinkedIn. But coming back to serious topic, as I told you, I've been a producer for 10 years. So once you have shooting, I don't know, somewhere in Portofino in Italy, so you negotiate this with a local mayor, you negotiate with the team, you negotiate with very picky model, and you have to combine all together on a stage. I cannot compare these two spheres, but a lot of skills that I've got to being a producer is useful during my business development work. And as I mentioned, the startup routine as a co-founder of, let's say, seed stage company really helped me a lot, because it's very necessary to get right contact, right partnership, right grants sometimes once you build something new and outstanding. Right
Absolutely.
timing and right contacts has great value for something growing and something new.
Thank
Absolutely.
you. We have another
Well,
question from
sure.
Ryan.
Yeah.
Does this mean that the way the startup gets funded is that Cointelegraph buys the company's coin directly?
We are a separate entity out of Cointelegraph. We are part in terms of services that we do provide, but in terms of entity, we are separate. And we receive tokens instead of cash payments, like we do it in Cointelegraph in general. It's normal practice in Web3. Once you want to buy something, you can pay with the tokens. That's the beauty of Web3.
Right.
Good. And the second question in a row. Yeah, great opportunity. How to apply?
Currently, till the mid of next week, you can reach me out on LinkedIn, Telegram, any sources that I think guys will provide at the end of this webinar. But soon, I hope next week, as we are very picky with our designs and all marks, you will get basic landing. You can easily find in footer of general Cointelegraph Accelerator, and you get a free access to standard forum.
We got a reply from Ryan. Cool, very interesting approach. It makes sense in Web3 context. Thank you, Ryan. Also, Anna, I want to ask you more about the previous year, because we all read different news about the crypto market and the situation that was there. But actually, I wanted to ask you more, what kind of investment trends have you noticed, like for the last year? How would you comment that?
So trends have been changed a lot. We've seen good and bad part of things that happened last year. The bad thing, it's not so easy to raise anymore in Web3 like it was in 2020 and 2021. The good thing, the market is getting healthier, and all people who comes to Web3 space just because it's easier to raise, finally they've been washed away. And it's time to realize that Web3, it's a whole big new industry that demand real builders, that demand solid approach, and it's time for serious fundamental projects. And we do value experience from Web 2 a lot, because Web 3, it's a technology, but without fundamental approach, without sustainable business model, it doesn't work anymore. So coming back to your questions, how I can, I don't know, analyze the trends in the past years and how it's affect current fundraising situation, you still can fundraise. Investors, funds, they still have money. Actually, they have more money than before because they stopped to invest rapidly, like in previous decades. And once you're a solid company, solid team, interesting product, you will be more interested to the funds because they have to invest. That's the truth. It's start to be harder to fundraise, but in Web3. But to be honest, it start to be the same like in other industries, like in biotech, like in tech. So how I can comment that Web3 is getting healthier, and if you want to break the investor ice, if you want to fundraise in 2023, you have to learn from Web2. You have to learn from sustainable spheres like tech, like biotech, like art tech, which is quite old. And I've been so surprised, guys, once I read Fuel Arts report, and my highly recommendations, whenever you interact with our market, apply to Fuel Arts, I don't know, directly on your website. And your report about art and tech industry gives real great and deep overview once you want to play in this field. So my compliments, guys, to your reports. I know the value of solid information. I work in media. And my tips, my forecast, people will invest, funds will invest, angel investors are seeking for good projects, but it will be more harder. No rocket science, just use the already existing expertise of solid spheres like tech, biotech, AI.
Thank you for such a realistic outlook. I think it's still positive, and it gives like a very clear understanding to all the startups that are listening to us. So thank you.
Yeah, and thank you. I mean, following Sonia's words and using her exact wording, thank you for your realistic outlook of our skills and initiative on creating the report. We'll be happy. We'll be happy to share with Cointelegraph our new report, which is gonna be published in less than 2 months. So as I said at the beginning of our webinar, we already started analyzing the data. We've collected everything. So yeah, we'll be happy. We'll be happy if you receive some unique information from us and publish that on your website.
With pleasure. Coming back to the question about diversity, Web3 is getting bigger, and I want to mention few unexpected probably spheres that start to use Web3 technologies. For example, biotech. People start to collect data with a blockchain already since 2017. I can mention Genesis is a quite successful startup from launch VC pool, friends of ours who brought us some biotech companies. We're in touch with, I forget the name of this big fashion concern. My gosh. Not Farfetch, but we're in touch with
H&M?
No, bigger one. They have Louis Vuitton, they have Dior, they have Tiffany.
Louis Vuitton, Moet Hennessy.
No, they belong to the name of this.
They belong to. Okay.
I think the audience will message us and we'll come up with that a little bit later.
Okay, wherever. There are a lot of fashion startups that also help to tokenize goods, to provide phygital sales, and a lot of big fashion brands. They start with the basic NFT companies, but currently, for example, Yves Saint Laurent launched their Web3 wallet for all kind of beauty solutions. And this another field. Another thing, we have Dimitra. It's agro company that track their data on blockchain. So fields of using blockchain is growing rapidly, and art is one of the fields we're looking at, and we're exploring collaboration with LVMH. Yes.
Yes, it's like Louis Vuitton, Moet Hennessy, LVMH.
Yes, so LVMH has also innovation department, and they strongly looking into Web3 solutions.
Good. And by the way, LVMH holding belongs to one of the top art collectors in the world, Bernard Arnault.
No, absolutely, yeah.
Right.
So it's so connected.
Good. So yeah, you've started talking about the investment trends in 2022, and before that, you had said that there are special, let's say, there is special knowledge that a startup should have, a special skills that he needs to have to impress an investor. So let's combine those two questions in one. Uh, what do you
Yeah.
believe investors are looking in the first place, looking at the Web3 startup?
So let's start with a few things that investors stop looking to. So the hype around Metaverse is going down a little bit. We've seen a lot of fires at Meta, and we've seen that a lot of promises still stuck on just idea and slides. And in terms of metaverses, I think we have to wait for another 2-3 years and looking for or waiting for more technologies that have to meet each other at maybe in 2025-26. So talking about investors, I think only tier one funds still keep investing in those kind of startups because they understand it's a very, very long term. Talking about NFT and play to earn, it's also getting a little bit down because the classical gaming industry still have some suspicious approach to Web3. And we still, I mean, the industry is still looking for a sustainable play to earn business model. And I know Animoca brand works a lot in this field. But talking about general investment, people still bit get slow down in those kind of projects because we need some sustainable long-term solutions with strong tokenomics and strong game technologies and visualization, not only play to earn. The phenomenon of Axie Infinity doesn't work anymore. Coming back to DeFi, we are looking for mass adoption, and we are looking at any kind of startups that merge Web2 and Web3 that helps Web2 user use Web3. We have two kind of vision in investor world. Someone believes that Web3 have to keep this geek interface, and if you want to enter Web3, it's okay to pass through inconvenient interface, the technology first. The second cohort of investors, and actually it's my opinion as well, we have to work on mass adoption. We have to improve user experience once we want to scale Web3 in general. That's another sphere that we do believe in. And of course, we do believe in intellectual property that include arts, that include music, that include sometimes even dancers. I start to track so many dancing applications. And that's my sphere of passion because I worked so many with doers, with creators. And I do believe that the power of Web3 will find a real solution in this field. And 2023, it's time for Web3 Spotify. It's time for Web3 art galleries, where Web3 transparent technologies will give a chance to earn money to the creators.
Absolutely. And we also want to know, we just heard about investor side and investor, like what they're looking for. And could you tell us more about like startups when they're preparing for their pitch? What would be your tips and recommendations? What they should include, what they should not include, what they should focus on?
So there is no single advices, but I will tell you guys how we at Cointelegraph looking at you, at your pitch decks. Maybe it will help you to restructure your pitch decks and your pitches itself. So we are talking. I work in venture capital space, right? So we are looking for pre-seed, seed, early A stages companies. Normally, they don't have the final product yet. What they do have, first, team. We are looking for solid, relevant team with relevant experience. Well, it's really strange if someone from, I don't know, fashion will build DeFi product. Just a rough example, but you have to have proper experience. You have to be trackable. We are very suspicious to the unknown profiles with NFT avatars with no subscriptions and no history, to be honest. So trackable, relevant team. This is number one. Second, the business model itself, the idea itself. I know it's hard to find your business model at the beginning. You can pivot many times, but if you want to receive some money, if you want that someone believe in you, your idea might be clear. I don't like this elevator pitch phrase, but it works. If you can explain what are you doing in these few words, at least for 3 minutes, and I can retell to a colleague of mine, I think that you create something that at least worth to have a look at. And number three, after business model, is investors' history. I know sometimes it's easier to bootstrap, but it's unhealthy sign. Someone have to believe in your project apart yourself, apart your mother, and it's actually useful to fundraise or to get a grants and to listen from industry player. Is it worth to develop?
Right.
That's three first things that we are looking at.
And if we're talking about bootstrapping, what do you think is a normal phrase for bootstrapping? For what kind of time we're talking about? For like a year, half a year, two?
It depends on your experience. Sorry, I just passed from my COVID. I will cough a little bit.
Oh, I didn't know.
Cool to hear that.
What I suggest for the startups, if you already have some exits behind, it's okay to bootstrap from some existing project. It can be different sphere, but in Web3, probably better, or at least finance. So once you have experience of building something, it's okay to bootstrap from work in business. It's actually a good sign for the project.
Mm-hmm.
If you bootstrapping from completely different sphere, as I told you, from your mom or your personal savings, it's worth to bootstrap till basic pitch deck and basic clear idea for the investors, or at least grants programs. And it's worth to go and fundraise. And it's worth to go and track your idea in terms of, is it fair enough? Is it any demand for those idea? So it's useful for a very early stage to fundraise or at least apply for grants.
Thank you. Yeah, we completely agree that, let's say, you should bootstrap until you find your market fit. Once the market fit is found and confirmed by means of, let's say, customer discovery, not even customer development, but customer discovery, and found your market fit, yeah, you have proof of concept. So then you package your idea into a deck, and since that you're ready for a grant or for at least angel investment. But of course, in order to test your, finding the market fit, it could take time, and the rules of customer discovery are, they look quite simple, but there are still some gaps and hazards startuppers should avoid. And that's where accelerators can help you with.
Absolutely.
So my question is vice versa. How should a startup choose accelerator? Not the accelerator, not the investor choose a startup, but how a startup choose an accelerator, and what tips do you have for startups applying for various accelerators? For instance,
Absolutely.
we
Good
just
question.
received more than 100 applications for Fuel Arts and Tests Accelerator 23. So I would summarize all the experience in one short phrase: don't trust the decks, because in the decks you could find the information that that is not applicable for that doesn't correspond the current traction, and only through face-to-face discussions, intro calls, then tech calls, then looking at the GitHub, looking at the let's say technical product to understand even what time were the last changes made to the code. So are these are they how do the startups or the founders and their CTO react on the market changes? If they said that in the deck, if a startup says that they pivoted into this current, let's say, business model 3 months ago, and the last changes in the coding in the product were made, let's say, half a year ago and earlier, that doesn't correspond. So someone is lying. In that case, yes. Sorry for taking your time. And
No, absolutely. That's interesting questions, but also you just mentioned investors paying, but let's give some useful tips for the startups and basically for startup CEOs. It's more easy with accelerators rather than with startups, because each accelerator knows their strong parts and knows what they can give, knows what their what kind of input they can bring to the startup. So as I mentioned above, we are marketing. As I understand from Fuel Arts, you help with also technical part, including art market specific. So once you at the very beginning stage, you have to understand the product and you have to build the product. There is no sense to apply for Cointelegraph Accelerator. You have to go to builders. If you are DeFi, you have to pick your blockchain you will work with. You have to pick for if you work with the data, go to Filecoin. They are more than happy to support you once you just have an idea, but they know they will use your technology. They will use Filecoin savings technology. It's worth to go there at the very early stage. If you want to bring some NFT solution, Polygon supporting NFT, and it's clear at any accelerator description. If you want to move into gamify, you can go to Animoca Brands Accelerator. Also, the conditions is very clear and you can read it on a website. I will mention just few accelerator that I do like a lot and I've seen so many strong startups from. First, of course, Techstars. They're oldest one, strongest one. They're very familiar with Web3. They have Web3 cohorts all over the world. They have in Dubai, they have in Boston, if I'm not mistaken, they have in London. It's easily, you can Google in their website. So Techstars is number one. Once you pass their acceleration program, it's a good mark for any stage of fundraise, and you can put Techstars name on your deck at the beginning. Second, I do like the collaboration of Brink, Animoca, and Sandbox Accelerator. They work together, they fulfill together with the knowledge, with the mentors, and you can easily find accelerators forum once you will Google these three names. Normally, they refer you to each other. Also, I like Filecoin a lot. We work together. Most Web3 projects somehow related with data, related with saving big amount of data, and they have broad variations of cohorts, and they have a lot of programs, especially for early stage. That's the accelerator that is very relevant to the early stage. You can Google right now and you can apply for there. Once you have existing MVP, once you have solid product, it's time for going out to market. It's time for scaling. That's where you can find Cointelegraph Accelerator. As I know, there are a lot of CMO accelerators. I will not mention them. They're our competitors. We don't have any partners. Once we will create some partnerships, I'm more than happy to mention someone as strong as Cointelegraph. But yeah, it's time for scale and period timing. In terms of promotion, I can mention probably Animoca. They help a lot. They use their channels. They have strong presence in Asia, and they also relevant. It's time to go to Animoca Fund and to Animoca VC. But once you backed by Animoca Accelerator, it's like logic step number 2. And our first one, if you want to interact with any kind of accelerator, it's much more clear with their business model. Just read it and save your time and accelerator time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the good point of fundraising is each VC is very well connected in a space, and each VC want to enforce their project. And you can get much more warm interest from your VC, from your grant. I like near ecosystem. My MintMate, my startup, we got the near grant in July 2022. And we've got huge support from them. Like they give us, here is our NFT community, chief of NFT community. Here is our partnership, head of partnership. So they're very supportive as well. That's what I experienced by myself.
Thank you. We have very traditional question in the end of every webinar. We ask our guests for tips. And so we'd like to ask you tips for crypto startups in 2023. What would you recommend them in general? What would be your top 3 tips for them?
So of course, our industry been impacted by FTX collapse a lot. And once you want to create something, once you want to develop something in Web3 space, you have to answer a few questions. Am I sustainable? Am I, if I launch token, do I provide real utility? And if I safe? Because without these three simple answers at the beginning, it will be hard to move.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let me finish with a short story. You've mentioned FTX. One of the startups who applied to our Fil Synthesis Accelerator, they sent us a deck with Sam Bankman-Fried indicated as one of the advisors. And I said, wow, cool. So shall he advise you from jail? They said, oh, sorry, we forgot to delete him. So yeah, tip number 4, even yes,
delete any FTX routes.
Update. Well, yeah, there will be much more routes. I mean, in the future, as soon as the market goes healthier, and I'm happy that we both understand it. But always update your DEX. Always update your DEX.
I want to rephrase myself. Sam Beckman and FTX invest in a lot of companies, and we are in Web3. It's hard to erase something. So once you have any interaction in the past, you have to tell how you interact with the situation, how you use this experience. All of us, we are learning. It's okay to make a mistake. It's a very young industry. Don't be afraid of your mistakes. Don't hide anything, because it's very trackable industry, too transparent, too narrow, and use your mistakes as your strength point.
That's been a great motivational end of the webinar. Thank you so much for today. And I feel it's been a very productive, very informative one. Right, Anis?
Yes, yeah, I'm very excited, and thank you, Anna, for the brilliant start of the new Fil season. I mean, for the new year of our webinar activity. So
Thank you, guys. I'm more than proud to not the same stage, but to take the same webinar with you. I'm proud of what you're doing, and I'm excited to share Web3 expertise and looking forward for new unicorns in art tech startups.
thank you so much, and it was a great pleasure to talk to you and to collaborate in one ecosystem. Thanks everyone who has been watching us and staying in touch. Next week we'll have a startup which made a breakthrough in the last year. One of the most promising art tech startups. Everyone heard about it, but we'll disclose its name in several days. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you.
Looking
Bye.
forward for guys who want to apply to Cointelegraph Accelerator at my social networks, and more than happy to jump on your next webinar as a visitor.
Absolutely. We'll be waiting for you there. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, guys.